6-7, chat. That's a lot of purple balls, man. Holy fuck. What in the testicular torsion is this? We're like, this is probably what my build is gonna be like. You care more about HP or defense? HP. His damage is relevant in Zibai teams. This is not for Zibai team. This is for Zhongli carry teams. Zhongli Sig would actually be usable here. I don't think it's better than Deathmatch. I wonder if there's ever a world where Ascendant Gleam is more valuable than the Witch buff. Do I still have the calc for this one? I don't think so. Because, like, if I don't bring the Witches and instead I do, like, Inefa, Shilonen, should we calc that? I'm actually down. Columbina, Inefa, Zhongli, C1, Shilonen. And I guess you would on-field Columbina here, right? For the Hydro application. No Geo Traveler? No. I guess you don't actually need the Hydro application. The majority of your damage from the Lunar Crystallize isn't from Lunar Crystallize itself. It's from the fact that Lunar Crystallize is constructs, which makes Zhongli actually deal damage. Maybe it's 5 Columbina here. Shovel Inefa. I guess it should be deathmatch on both, right? 14,695, which is the same as Zhongli. 2E Serenade Shilonen. You could do that, but I think Scroll is better. Because, like, C1 Zhongli with the Lunar Crystallize is, like, actually reasonable damage. With this one, we probably have double HP main stat. How much is C1 doing here? Oh, it's doubling his kill damage.
Is there a big difference if Zhongli is C6 here?
If what? Zhongli? No, there isn't. The only thing that really matters is the skill talent levels, I guess, but it doesn't do much. Columbina would get the crystallized one in this team, right? Damage percent, we get the scrolls team-wide, and that's it. Inefa gets it too. Zhongli gets scrolls, Golden Troop, Goblet. He also has Geo Damage Ascension. And then Shilonen just gets the 40. All right, EM. 80 from Sky, 120 from Serenade, 80 from substats. Probably it, right? This one doesn't have the Sky. Same for this. Same for this. Okay, so Lunar Charge, Geo Resonance gives damage percent. That's true. That's going to be on Columbina. Lunar Crystallized one is 20%. Sky and Serenade. 40% from Columbina Burst. For this one. Fuck. E-date? What the hell? What are you trying to tell me, game? Is she primary? She is primary. Number of Lunar Crystallize. Now that one's gonna be fucking weird. Like, we're gated more by Columbina Hydro app than we are by Zhongli Geo app. It should be 18, I think. We definitely do use the burst in this team. Can we use burst every rotation with on-field Fav Columbina? I feel like we can, yeah. That's a lot of particles, man. So we probably have full uptime on the EM buff as well. Okay, so... That's funny. Yeah, this version does a lot less damage on Zhongli himself than the version that was running Albedo Mona, because we're focused more on just buffing the rest of the team. So it's just Inefa Columbina. I mean, I think Zhongli's doing more than Inefa here, because he's 6k personal damage behind. The Lunar Crystallize is also doing more damage than the Lunar Charge. Hey, you're right. I actually forgot about, I forgot about the Shred from Zhongli. There. Fixed. Now it's as good as Zibai. Shit. Let's compare it to burst every other rotation on a damage weapon. No Fav on Columbina means less uptime on Inefa burst, less uptime on Columbina burst. This is better. Slightly. You remove the HP from Ember. It wasn't Ember to begin with. It was Fav. Maybe even with C1, Zhongli's damage isn't enough to justify having him on Golden Troop and Inefa on Serenade. That's a good point. We can take a look at what happens if you change that. How about C0 Zhongli? Sure, we can take a look at that. It is going to be noticeably worse. Right, like, this isn't like trying to find great teams. This is trying to find a use for my C1 Zhongli. 1.5 app every 2 seconds. Probably 15. Total. That's about 20k behind with C0 Zhongli. How is C1 Zhongli that impactful? Isn't it just one extra pillar? The pillar resonance works on the Lunar Crystallize thingies. So not only does Zhongli himself do a lot more damage through having 3 more resonances on each hit, but you also have much better geo application, which helps you trigger Lunar Crystallize more often. It's not a good general recommendation, but it's a way to make use of it, which is nice. What the fuck is 0515 supposed to be? Is the patch getting delayed by 4 months? Can you check C2 Illuga? So C2 Illuga had the proc 57.1 and 384.1. Zhongli is quite a bit better at above KQM standard because Inefa doesn't have useful talents to crown. Okay, let's tone it down with a quite a bit. I don't think that's quite a bit. That's a slight push towards that, sure. Why do we calc DPS Columbina teams with 18-second rotation when her cooldown is 17? It's mainly because of animation length, but also for Columbina specifically, if you E every 17 seconds instead of every 18 seconds, you still get 3 instances of skill damage per 18 seconds. Because her damage isn't based on when you use skill, it's based on her gravity generation. We removed the talent levels on Illuga, but we didn't remove the 200 defense. I'm not going to remove the talent level motion value because he doesn't do any damage anyways, and I'm taking some shortcuts, and I'm cheating. We also get 20 CV instead of 50, so 17k. DPS behind, a little bit more than 10%. Is Illuga just another dogshit Nocry 4-star? I think he's kind of different from the others. The problem with Aino is that she was released before anyone else in the Hydro role for Nocry teams, so you'll see her in a lot of teams just because you don't have other good options. But she's kind of bad numbers-wise. Problem with Yehuda is animation time being awful. The problem with Illuga is neither of those. It's just that the competition for his slot is a little bit more fierce. He's a better unit, but he's competing against better units too. He's not like that good. Pre-C6, Illuga is like worse than Shilonen. C6, Illuga is better. Is he like Sarah was for Raiden? Kinda, yeah. It's a little bit different because honestly, a big reason of why Sarah wasn't that good is because Raiden wasn't that good. If Raiden had better numbers to begin with, Sarah would have actually been better. And the reason why Fischl was what I would recommend at the time over Sarah is because Raiden's numbers were just not good enough to justify forcing her into a hyper carry role. Zibai numbers are. I want to take a look at Sucrose Albedo. Goodbye Illuga. It's probably not VV Sucrose, right? It's probably Serenade Sucrose. Is this a burst every rotation Albedo, or is this a no burst? It might be a no burst Albedo. His animation time is pretty long for 125 EM with half uptime. It might not be worth using because these teams are gated by animation times more than cooldowns. It's actually really sad we can't use Fischl here because I feel like Fischl would be pretty good if you could use her, but Fischl Electro application being too good actually prevents you from getting Lunar Crystallizes. The reason why you can get Lunar Crystallizes with Inefa is because her Electro application is once every 2 seconds, so you can actually get Lunar Crystallize with leftover Hydro or once you've triggered Electro Crystallize. With Fischl, every time you trigger Electro Crystallize, you reapply Electro. So you're not getting through that shit. Because like your other witch options are just Mona and Sucrose, right? Or am I forgetting someone? I guess you could use Venti, but that's not very good. Technically, you could use Vape Durin. I guess we could look at that. Did Chiori not turn out well? Chiori was fine. The biggest problem with Chiori is that you're playing a sustainless team that's not even better than the teams that have sustain. Okay, let's actually calc this. Sac Sucrose, yeah. Probably Serenade Sucrose. I've been told Nefertime can easily be played on a 17-second rotation. I mean, I think that's kind of fair, honestly. Cooldown gates and animation length gates are inherently very different. So if you're gonna be doing the exact rotation length that you're aiming for teams that are gated by animation length, I think it's reasonable to cheat teams that are gated by cooldowns and remove a second from the average rotation. For now, we do Serenade Husk, but Instructor Serenade might be better. Instructor kind of goated, actually. This team would probably go Spindle. Albedo-based defense is 876, right? 25 from subs, 54 from Husk, 58.3 from main stat. Maybe we go Defense Goblet. I don't think we want to burst here. Albedo, EM, we don't have this 80, we have the rest. How's Albedo EO requirements if you would burst every rotation? High enough to go Faf. This rotation is 19 seconds. So we get 8. Number of Lunar Crystallize, be the same as this. And then we add the Sucrose buff, Sac, main stats, substats, Serenade. Will Mona be better here? I looked at Mona earlier and Mona was pretty good, but the problem with Mona is animation length. It takes a while to do EQ and then 4 normals. One of the things that Mona provides is crit rate with a C4, and it can end up being a lot of crit. There's a bunch of situations where you can overcap if you do that. So this isn't as good as the Mona one, unfortunately. I guess that makes sense. With the Mona version, the fact that you get to damage-focused weapon on Columbina is really impactful. Alright, Zibai damage is similar with Sucrose, but Columbina damage is way lower. I guess I didn't add the 12 damage %, actually. But it's still not that good, yeah. It would be so much better if you could use Fischl. Like, I'm pretty sure if Fischl didn't interfere with your Lunar Crystallize, like, Fischl Albedo would actually be similar to, like, her best teams. Calcs, Killbot, Navia. Honestly, like, if Navia was a 4-star, she would actually be pretty decent. The fact that her burst animation is so long makes her kind of whatever in the team. Chat, what if we were to be, like, crazy? What if we went completely nuts with it? And we did, like, Singto, Columbina, Llama. That's probably enough Hydro, right? I wonder if there's ever a world where you go Zibai, Zhongli, and you go double Hydro just so that you get more Lunar Crystallized. But I feel like that's kind of a little cooked. The actual problem in Zibai teams is that the way that the buffers are balanced for Geo, none of them are like massive. Like so many archetypes have characters that have a lot of role overlap, which makes them have really good buffs and fulfill a different purpose. But in Zibai teams, the buffers don't really fulfill a different purpose. Like when you use Bennett as an attack buffer, he's also fulfilling defensive of utility incredibly well. And he's also helping you for your setups that require pyro as part of the setup. When you use Seat Lolly in melt teams, she's overlapping pretty decent buffs with elemental enabling. And you look at the value of the buffs for these characters, and they're not way higher to compensate for the fact that they're only really doing one thing. When you look at Goro, when you look at Illuga. So it kind of feels weird to build a team for her, because her damage is good enough to justify wanting to make her a hyper carry, but the supports you have available to buff her are kind of underwhelming. Her dedicated supports are so bad that she can actually use Shilonen and it's about as good. Shilonen, a generic support where a good portion of her power budget is in a damage percent buff. And Shilonen is competitive with Illuga. She needs a Lama Geo. I mean, I don't think that's a thing that is necessary. Like, I think this is a much healthier place to be, game design-wise. But it does make building her teams a little bit more awkward. Illuga is a fraud then. Illuga is like halfway between Goro and Farazan in power level. He has a similar problem as to what Farazan had on release. Unless you're going for cons, it's really unlikely you'll get C6 on a new 4-star. But there are two main differences that, in my opinion, make him like noticeably worse than Farazan. The amount of stuff he provides is a bit lower. Farazan was released in an era where power creep was like pretty much non-existent. You weren't confident that we would keep having good relevant animo carries, but if you were playing one of those animo carries, you were pretty confident she'd stay on your team. I think with Illuga, that's not the case. He's really easy to knock out of the team, which is why I'm a little worried, and why I don't know if I want to recommend people go for like C1 Zibai instead of C0 Zibai plus C0 Columbina. How much ER for carry Columbina? Carry Columbina doesn't care enough about her burst to want to build ER. You use it if you have it, but you don't build ER for it. Of course. 2 of the one I have 18 of already. No solvent, no billet. That's about as bad of a roll as it can be. We didn't even get an instructor. That's actually awful. What the fuck? How do I have so many of those when I actually have built Mawika and Escoffier, which both use it?